Hello, good afternoon. My name is Eduardo Scutia, and today I want to share with you a bit of my experience, reflections, and learning from the course International Diversity. To address the main insight from the course, I will reflect on three major themes from Module 1, 2, and 3. The first is identity and cultural self-awareness. Second, intercultural communication and bias. And leadership and multicultural collaboration. We are going to develop a little of these three concepts. But since we want to start from the first model, we have to start with the right foot. So I'll explain these three main concepts from the number one as culture, as a group of values, beliefs, and behaves that shape how people interact with the world, depending from where he or she was born. Number two is identity. And this one is interesting because it's how we perceive ourselves. But the third one is self-awareness. And it's not something you are born with. You have to develop this ability to recognize the emotions that makes you feel some things in particular in the society you belong to. I want to show you a personal example. When I was realizing a visit to the Centro Eugenio Garzazada Museum as a part of a task of this course, I ran into Mina Hong, a South Korean classmate with which we had briefly interacted in class before, but I always noticed her curiosity about our culture. After the museum tour, I offered her a ride back to campus when we were saying goodbye. She was visibly surprised and kindly declined, saying she already has a ride back, with which she was, with something with another classmate. But anyways, later I realized on my way back home that in northern Mexico, men are thought to offer help as a gesture of courtesy, as a cultural norm that might not be as common in her context. It made me aware of how our daily behaviors are shaped by culture and how easily we can project ourselves on and our norms into others. Okay, so in the theoretical framework using hot fate, masculinity versus femininity dimension, I understood that my gesture reflect values common in masculine cultures, assertiveness, protectiveness, and traditional gender roles. South Korea may lean toward less overt gender expectations, making such gestures more than expected, more surprising. Okay, so that was a really good example of how different cultures interact with each other. Okay, so what should I practice more? And I regret kind of not doing. It's the openness to dialogue. In our diverse class sessions, I had I was hesitant to initiate conversations with international classmates out of fear of saying something wrong or making a mistake in language. Embracing openness could definitely have deepened my intercultural learning and built stronger bonds between the classmates, made friends, or something else. But well, the first step toward understanding is taking the risk to engage. So I see it, yes, as a lesson to be learned, but not as a mistake. Okay, so there are conceptual insights from Model 2 is characteristics of a global leader. I think this is a very important thing in nowadays on the context of the global world, where people start dividing themselves and making war each other. Building trust in multicultural teams and recognizing our otherness in collaborative context. I think the concept otherness is a very important tool you can use to understand people, decisions, and ways to act basing on their context where they belong to. And this is something I want to uh, get deep in one experience I had a couple of years ago when I was visiting a friend in Madrid, Spain. He's a foreign student right now, and I visit him to have fun and know get to know Madrid. After one day after visiting the main museums and the important places in Madrid, we visit in the night a nightclub called Easter. We were a group of Mexicans from Monterrey and Puebla. As we entered the place, it was a salad of nationalities. You could see people from France, Italy, Germany, Turkey, and us Mexicans, which we were uh, com- sharing space with a Moroccans group. The people, yeah, a Moroccan group. They were nearby us, and some of my friends warned me that they were difficult to deal with, but I didn't pay attention to those biases. As the night progressed, our table space shrank. Little by little, we felt ourselves more into the corner. Tension rose, and before a conflict started with my friend of Puebla, I suggest we reorganize the tables and share the space more efficiently because there were human line dividing the tables. I spoke to the Moroccan guys and suggest to split it to yeah split the space and get along with. The Moroccan group likely came from a maybe high context culture with looser spatial norms against our low context culture where personal space is very important. For us, Mexican space and personal space is like a sign of respect. So if you take that away from us, we can react aggressive or maybe thinking you are um, making harm to us, okay? Or about to. Okay, so my approach was that I use active listening, perspective taking, and peaceful conflict resolution. I try to stay neutral and focus on collaborations, skills that reflect global leadership, traits like adaptability and inclusive thinking. I embrace a peaceful approach to conflict and recognize cultural differences instead of escalating tensions. Practicing empathy and calmness diffuse the situation and allow for a brief positive connection. As we spoke at the moment, we befriend a couple of guys from that table, and it was a really good uh, moment. But then they leave, and we got this whole space for us. For self-evaluation and future applications, I want to start with the team collaboration. I consider myself outstanding. In my Madrid experience that I told you, I initiated an inclusive solution that considered everyone's comfort and reduced conflict. So for the next point, the negotiation effectiveness, I also rate myself as outstanding. I navigated a cultural disagreement without relying on stereotypes, and my proposal resulted in a peaceful coexistence. For my concrete next steps, I sure that as a student and a future professional, I will continue learning about our cultures. When I travel, I'll make a point to local customs and interact openly with people from the diverse backgrounds. Okay, so close up, I want to talk about my overall experience in the course, and it definitely made me more aware of my identity and privileges, and more committed to recognizing others' perspectives by integrating these insights. I think I'm better equipped to lead with empathy and cultural intelligence in diverse environments. With this, I want to thank you for listening and wish you a good day. Thank you.